Well, the Duke and Duchess of Cambridge begin a 4-day tour of Pakistan today. The children are staying at home, and the couple will be accompanied by 1,000 policemen. I've been speaking to Up All Night's Rani Singh, who told me that these royal visits to Pakistan don't come around all that often.
This is the first royal visit since the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall came in 2006. And before that, there was the late Diana, Princess Diana, of course, who was a friend of the British wealthy aristocrats, the Goldsmith family, because Jemima Goldsmith was then married to the gentleman who's now Prime Minister Imran Khan. Yes. Diana went alone in 1996 and 1997. She wore local designs. She helped with fundraising for Imran Khan's cancer hospital that he founded for his late mother, and she's still very popular in Pakistan.
Is there any likelihood? I mean, they're almost bound to meet the Prime Minister, aren't they, in the course of the visit?
Yes, that's going to happen today, later on today, Tuesday, the 15th of October. They're going to meet the Prime Minister and the President, Arif Alvi. There is a schedule for the 4-day visit, and we've been roughly told what's going on, but for security details, they don't give out all the venues and everything.
No. Is there a lot of nervousness about this visit for that reason?
Well, shall I just say that the security entourage includes 1,000 policemen around the Cambridges the whole time. So yes,
we've got the general idea.
Yes,
right.
yes,
okay.
Yes.
Well, nevertheless, I mean, this is a big high society event, I imagine.
Yes, it is. And although the Cambridges are going to be, we're told, looking at causes they support, children's access to education, girls and young women, and environmental issues and responses to the effects of climate warming and so on. And they've got, they're going to a cricket academy, they're going to a mosque that Diana visited when she came. There's a special engagement that, they don't normally talk about, as I said, where they're going, what they're doing before the day. But there is an event, and I managed to get hold of one of the invited guests for that event. I don't think I should say where it is. And he doesn't normally talk to people, but he has agreed to talk to us. And he is one of Pakistan's top designers. Yes, very much part of society, Rod. His name is Hassan Shahryar Yassin, and he's got a brand called HSY, and he's internationally known. He's dressed Brooke Shields, Billy Porter, who recently won an award, you may remember, and Madeleine Albright. And he's a TV host. He dresses many international royals. And, People magazine speculated. Of course, the Duchess of Cambridge, her wardrobe is all sort of worked out for the tour, and they take lots of extras as well. But People magazine speculated that the Duchess of Cambridge might choose to have a Pakistani designer for one of her outfits during this tour. And the writer of that article said that it should be Hassan Shahryar Yassin.
I'm an incredibly huge fan of the Duchess of Cambridge, and when People magazine suggested that perhaps we should dress her, we took the opportunity of getting in touch with the embassy and wanted to send something for her. And even that outfit that we've made, we wanted to have a very specific note. The team that's handling her outfit and the development and the stitching and the designing are all women from different ranks in our company. And I think it's incredibly important to send that note out so people understand how incredibly important women empowerment is to Pakistan as well.
Rod, Hassan embodies that part of the Pakistani population that's fascinated by the British royal family.
I remember being on the streets of London with my mom, watching the procession of Lady Diana go by, being glued to the television when Princess Kate was getting married, and watching it over and over again. They're so far removed from our life, yet so incredibly important to us as well. And also this visit is very important for the people of Pakistan. Over 50% of our population is under the age of 35, and they have seen our country in a negative term internationally for far too long, and this visit gives a certain nod, the right nod, to the people of Pakistan.
I'm very interested in hearing him say that, because you wouldn't think that there would be a lot of royalist feeling in Pakistan.
It stems from the days, Queen Elizabeth has been in the past, and then, as I said, the Duke and Duchess of Cornwall have been. And there is that sector, particularly amongst the upper classes, Rod, that are very interested in what's going on. And of course, Imran Khan has been always part of sort of the international set, shall we say, before he came into politics. And so part of this society was very much, his scene. So they have this fascination and loyalty, but of course it doesn't apply to the whole of Pakistan necessarily. However, there is a lot of excitement and being generated. And, these two young people do remember Diana. And of course, William being Diana's son, there's an interest in him. And there's a fascination with Kate because of the way she looks. And so it is a turning point, I suppose. So it'll be interesting to see how it plays out over the next few days. We're only at the start of it.
Well, the news from Afghanistan is expected quite soon. That is to say, the news from the Afghan elections, but not high expectations, you would think.
No, Rod. On October the 19th, this Saturday, preliminary presidential election results are coming out. You remember the election was on the 28th of September, and the final results are on November the 7th. It's likely to be a two-horse race. We don't know, what's going to happen. And the president, Ashraf Ghani, and Abdullah, who was a chief executive, they're likely to be the contenders.
So they're the contenders, but they're not going to be returned by that many people, are they? Because it was such a difficult election from a security point of view. Yes,
absolutely. There was a very low turnout. And really it boils down to, whoever is seen as getting more than 50% of the votes is the one who's declared the winner. But anything can happen over there. And really, for the future, the Afghan people need to sit down, and there needs to be need to be involved in talks, and there needs to be a ceasefire. But I'm afraid that the likelihood of that happening is low at the moment.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So give us a sense of what the people who have been in Kabul are thinking.
Well, do you remember, Rod, last time we spoke about this, you asked me if Taliban was attending meetings in Pakistan.
Yes.
And at that time, I had to say that formal meetings were not taking place. But, now I've got some news for you, because on Thursday, the 3rd of October, there was a meeting between a Taliban delegation and the U.S. envoy for peace in Afghanistan, Zalmay Khalilzad, that took place in Islamabad. Now, Rod, this was the first time the two sides had met since President Trump called off the meetings at the beginning of September. It's not an official restart, but the meeting does send out a message. And it is an important event. It was an important event, but there are so many variables at play here, Rod. The situation is very fragile, and I've been speaking to Aisha Tanzim. She's a bureau chief for Voice of America, and she covers both Afghanistan and Pakistan, and she's just returned from Kabul to Islamabad.
I think there's a fear, Rani, especially in Pentagon, that President Trump might tweet one morning that he wants the troops in Afghanistan to come home, deal or no deal. And on the Pakistani side, there's a realization that without a deal between the U.S. and Taliban, it may face immense pressure to tackle the Taliban leadership that the U.S. believes lives in Pakistan. The country's economy is not doing great, and U.S. has multiple ways to force it into a corner.
Yeah, I suppose in the context of what's just been happening in Syria, that there is a point to this, isn't there? That nobody quite knows what President Trump might order next.
Exactly. And apparently, everybody's waiting with bated breath, because one tweet could cause great changes.
Wow. But I won't even say there could be room for guarded optimism. It's just amazing that the Taliban and the US have had another meeting.
Yes, although, Rod, the US did say that it's not an official restart. They were very keen to declare that. It was just a meeting. But There is some, it is interesting that they did manage to meet after this time. And Pakistan, of course, wants to show that it's got influence in the region, so it's pushing for this kind of engagement.
Well, maybe we should talk about sport and the sport in which Pakistan excels, which would be cricket. And they're not going to be playing India anytime soon, but that doesn't mean that they're not playing somebody else.
No, exactly. Now, Rod, it's Sri Lanka that's just been and gone to and from Pakistan. Do you remember we were all reporting in 2009 after there was a horrific attack on a bus of the visiting Sri Lankan team?
Yes.
I'm sure you had to cover that.
Yes.
During the test series, do you remember 7 members of the Sri Lankan team were injured and 7 policemen were killed?
Yes, was that the last time the Sri Lankan team were actually there?
It was, Rod, and in effect, international cricket in Pakistan came to a sort of a halt 10 years ago, and but now, 10 years later, Sri Lanka has come to Pakistan and played in 2 cities, Lahore and Karachi, and that was for the T20 series, and it won the T20 3-0. And it also played ODIs, One Day International, which Pakistan won 2-0. And these finished on the 9th of October. And Pakistanis were really pleased to get this visit because it's a sign that international teams are gaining confidence and returning. Sri Lanka, for instance, Rod, is planning to return in December for test matches. So that's cause for hope. And at the Sri Lanka series, Irish and English cricket board officials were there observing throughout, as well as ICC officials. And to make sure of no mishap, Pakistan organised the same level of security that they do for state visits to the country. Now, I want to introduce to you Roha Nadeem. She's a sports journalist and she attended the Sri Lanka-Pakistan T20 matches played in Lahore on the 5th, 7th and 9th of October.
I was in the press box and I must say the security this time was quite satisfactory. The entire commercial area surrounding the stadium was closed off to allow for the secure passage of both teams, and there were even helicopters patrolling the area. But I do feel like now the conversation needs to shift away from security towards the actual cricket that is happening, and I hope that stronger teams like England and Australia and India also think about touring Pakistan so that cricket is normalized again.
Yes, I wonder how far off that day is. It doesn't sound like it's coming anytime soon.
No, Australia's Shane Watson has been over there, and other international players in the intervening years. But of course, they're private leagues and different to when the national teams come in. So, but, look at what's happening. Sri Lanka's going to come back. Who knows? And with these cricket officials being there, it shows they have an interest in studying what's going on.